What's up, guys? Dom Trimboli here from Refinancer. So, happy new year. This is our first video of 2023. We've been on holidays. Hope everyone had a nice break. But guess what? The year started, and it's time to get your head around what might be the biggest opportunity for a couple of years at least. So, I wanted to go over today a video for those who have a home that are contemplating buying another home, right? So most likely scenarios, you've got an owner occupier and you're looking to buy an investment. You might be looking to convert your current home to an investment and buying a new house to live. If you fall under that category, you need to listen to the next 10 minutes because this could be the most important 10 minutes for wealth creation that you hear all year. And I'd like to think we're putting it out there very early so you can try and get on top of it before other people do. So, this is the most concept you're going to hear this year. And at its core, it's all about you buying another house at the best terms, in the best way, right? And this is how we do it. So, the first concept is currently your property that you own right now may still be valued on older data. And what this means is it could be worth around 5% more. And this could be lower, higher. It's hard to say. But the reality is, valuations were coming up pretty nice last year. Maybe a little too nice, right? Because interest rates were low, there was no properties for sale. But the data is going to catch up because the market has definitely slowed down. And if you look around, all the RP data on the news, value of property in general is declining. Some places more than others, but the general concept is it's declining. So, as a little base example here, if you had a house that's worth 700K today, 2 or 3 months, that might go down by 5%. 5% is $35,000, meaning your 700K valuation might go down to 665,000. Now, I don't want you to think this is the true value of your home. That's actually not important. It's about what the banks value your home at, because that's what's important. Because it's all about freeing up equity so you have equity to make your next purchase. So, what we can do is right now, we can run 4 or 5 different valuations. They're all free, and you can still take advantage of the data that was last year, the good data, because this new data may not be as good. And if you do this in May, June, July, after a very slumpy first half of the year, the valuation might go down by the 5%, as we're saying. Now, why does this matter? All right. So if you had a $35,000 reduction in what your property is valued at from the banks, how does that affect you for your next property? So the first thing is you might not have the suitable LVR for the home. So let's say you want to buy an investment, which means you need a 10% deposit. If you wanted to buy an owner occupier, you can get away with a 5%, but at worst terms, obviously. So this $35,000 might be what pushes you from a 10% deposit to a 6% deposit. So all of a sudden, that might be the difference right there. Another kind of core detail is paying LMI or paying more LMI. So let's say you had the 20%, you had $100,000 that you wanted to buy something for $500,000. Well, that $35,000 dip brings your deposit down to 65K. So that 20% deposit's now like I don't know, a 13% deposit, which means you're paying another 7, 8 grand in LMI that you didn't have to pay. So it could be the difference in paying LMI at all or just paying more of it because LMI scales, right? So if you had a 15% deposit, well, now you've got a 10% deposit, and that's 5% worse, which means it's hard to put it into dollar values, but the LMI will go up considerably. We're talking 3, 4, 5, $6,000. And of course, not having the cash for a down payment. Now, you might be wanting to go to auction and you might be relying on accessing this money to actually have the cash in the first place. So, when you go to auction or they may just want to see a cash deposit. This could be the chance to quickly get that now. If you don't do that, then that window may close. And of course, the not being able to afford the home at all. This could seriously be the difference in a 5% deposit or a 10% deposit, as we've gone over. So just to recap there, the old data is still available now. Valuers don't have first quarter 2023 results. They do have the last quarter 2022, but they do factor in Christmas and things like that. So I would definitely kind of at least get it through your head that your house may be valued more now than it will in 6 months. So let's go on to the second part of this. Interest rates are probably going up by another 50 basis points to 75 basis points, and that means housing prices will have to fall. So it's no secret that interest rates have been going up. A year and a half ago, we're giving 1.89% interest rates to people. Now that's all the way at 4.64%. It's gone up drastically, and they say it's going to go up another. Well, to be honest, it's very open-ended of how much, but my estimation is by another 50 to 75 basis points. So that means pretty much someone who was paying 1.89% a year and a half ago, in 6 months, they may be paying around 5.5% on their mortgage, which is just insane. That's 4%. If you've got $1 million loan, that's like another 40 grand a year. It's almost $1,000 extra a week you're paying on your mortgage that you weren't. Now, why does this matter? And it should be pretty obvious. But the first thing is borrowing capacity will be reduced by 10 to 20%. Someone who may be able to get pre-approved for $600,000 2 years ago, they might only be able to get $450,000 or $500,000. This means buyers at higher price points are going to leave the market. It might even mean buyers will just, leave the market entirely because of this. Another major factor, and this one's kind of where it gets a little bit sad in a way, because ultimately for someone to win, someone else generally has to lose. And the reality is people simply can't afford to keep their investments or even their homes. Imagine having a rental property where you've tied it down at 1.89%, you've got a rental return of 3%. So you're thinking, oh yeah, that's fine. Now all of a sudden your investment rate's gone up to almost 6%, but your returns still at 3%. So all of a sudden you're thinking, wow, I'm holding on to a lemon. Negative gearing's fantastic, but let's be realistic. I am now having to pay another $200 a week out of my pocket for this property. Before I had this investment property and it was not costing me a cent because it was neutrally geared. But now, because of interest rates going up, that's $200 a week extra out of my pocket. And trust me, people do not like paying money out of their pocket for an investment property they don't really see or use. So the natural reaction is, well, this property is costing me money, screw it, let's put it on the market. And people don't always think of things like, okay, it's not a good time to sell because everyone's doing it. People will generally think of things like, this is costing me money that's going out of my account every week. Therefore, I need that gone. So I'm going to sell now. I don't care when. So that's, in my opinion, that's probably the biggest factor, right? And that with more property on the market means prices will have to fall. Now, the year of leisure for some, this is a bit of a funny one, but a lot of investors or maybe high net worth individuals, 2020, 2021, even 2022, they weren't traveling, right? They were doing nothing. These people had more time on their hands. So guess what they were doing? They were looking at property. They were artificially inflating the property market just by being more active than usual. A lot of these people are going to Europe or America for a month or 2 months around June or July. That 40, 50, 60 grand, some people take their kids 70, 80 grand, they were going to spend on a property. Guess what? They're spending it on a holiday. That's a massive part of the market that's just left, right? So that artificial COVID increase may not be there this year because a lot of these individuals will be traveling. And that year of leisure might extend beyond travel to, having a wedding or paying for other stuff. All of a sudden, housing's not as important because that's all people cared about over the last couple of years. The great calibration, right? So this is one that I've kind of made up, but I think it's really interesting. There's been a lot of things happening over the past couple of years. I'm talking JobKeeper, government handouts, bank pauses. Put it this way, those people who may have been struggling were given lifelines. Those lifelines are now gone. Businesses, if you're no more JobKeeper, no more things like that, it's, not everything, it all comes out in the wash is I guess a great way to put it. So these people who maybe were surviving on the skin of their teeth through handouts or other factors. Maybe they're forced to sell homes this year. And the last one, time for common sense. This is something that I really advocate for. Let's be real. When interest rates were 1.89%, some people were saying we're going to go into negatives. No, common sense dictates what goes up must come down. Right now, interest rates are higher. What's common sense? Property's going to go down. Interest rates are higher. What will happen in a couple of years? They will go back down. Let's just use common sense because common sense prevails over these times. Outlier things like the Ukraine war might do this, or negative interest rates because the Netherlands, or technology. Look, they're all pipe dreams that the media props up. Just think about it from a common sense point of view. Right now, people don't have money. They can't afford homes. Home prices will go down. And the third thing, which I kind of alluded to, is what goes up must come down. With all of this happening, housing may reduce by 2.5 to 7.5%, very generally. You might live in a place where it's 0%, might live in a place where it's 10%. Logically and using common sense, housing just has to come down, which means if you're an investor who's been sitting tight, or someone who's just thinking about it, a property that was $500,000 last year, it might be $450,000 this year. That's another $50,000 that effectively is onto your wealth. And this is fueled by things like there will likely be more stock available because of all the reasons we've mentioned. There's going to be more property on the market. There has to be, right? So there's going to be more stock. And this brings me to the fact that the power will be back with the buyers and not with the real estate agents. Now, everyone loves real estate agents. Yeah, no one loves real estate agents. And guess what? The last couple of years, they've had all the power in the world. Funny story, I actually was at just walking past an auction with a real estate agent who's just selling everything. And this person here had an auction, and this auction actually didn't go through, and it got passed up. And straight after that auction, I made a comment. I said something like, "Oh, I might know someone who's potentially interested in this property, or do you think the buyer would negotiate?" And the real estate agent just pretty much said to me, "Oh, don't worry, I'm going to sell it. This will be sold in a week. Don't worry about that." And just gets in their car and leaves. So that's a real estate agent speaking who's had the power. Because whatever they put, it's like the golden touch, the Midas touch, whatever you put on the market is going to sell. That should change, right? The buyers might have more power. If that scenario happens in 2 years' time, maybe that agent actually entertains my very reasonable questions instead of brushes me off through an ego dilemma. So power's going to be back with the buyers because there's going to be more properties for sale. Now, the cycle will end as we are nearing the peak of rate increases. Let's be real. Interest rates are probably nearly at the top. Okay. At 1.89, they were at the bottom. They're now 4.74 or whatever it is. They're probably near the top because guess what? If they go to 6 or 7%, common sense says everyone will not be able to make their repayments. And if everyone can't make their repayments, society will not function. So that will not happen because we have a government that effectively intervenes and babysits. So it's getting tough. People are going to feel it. So the likelihood is over the next couple of months, it will be at the peak. And that will be the end of this cycle of rates going up because the cycle's now been going for almost 15 months, and it might be 18 months, might be 2 years, but that should be the end of it. We're at least 70% through on this cycle. And guess what? What happens when we're at the top of that? It's going to happen again. What happened in 2020 where rates went down, it should happen again because what goes up must come down. If rates are at 5.5%, that is well above 3%, standard CPI. It's very likely we're going to see the roller coaster continue to happen, and we'll see over the course of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, rates will slowly decrease to at least 3%, in my opinion. And this is not financial advice. This is just common sense and me observing what's around. So what will happen if you buy a property now that is 7.5%, that's gone down by 7.5%, and you hold on to it for a few years? Well, guess what? It might go up by 10, 15, 20% just like it did in 2020, where because interest rates went down, housing artificially went up by crazy, crazy amounts, and people made a lot of money. Stupid people, every person just buy a home, and that's it. And you want to be one of those people, right? Not to put it in bad context, but you just bought a home and it just went up because more people wanted homes and rates were low. You didn't even have to do anything. So hope you guys stayed with me. That's my concept for this year. I think this is such a powerful and important message. And at its core, access money from your home now. You can do this by refinancing to have your ducks in a row because it's nearly time to buy homes at very, very, very good prices. And if you're someone that can afford it, and of course, borrowing capacity might be tough for you or the deposit might not be there, and that's fine. But if you're someone who's in a position where this is possible, you owe it to yourself to know if you can do this and to at least get things happening. Because if you're one of those people that are just thinking about it, or, oh, I'm thinking I should probably buy something soon, or, I've got a bit of equity, we've got a bit of money, now's the time. Like if you watch the videos I've been putting out for the last 3 to 4 months, it wasn't the time then, but now's the time. You need to be getting these valuations, refinancing if possible, accessing equity, and getting a pre-approval. Because guess what? You can start the low balling. You can start to have the power because the real estate agents will slowly entertain more of these offers. All the best, guys. Make sure to let me know if you're liking these videos. A lot of people are watching them. No one's commenting. Subscribe. Let me know what you'd like me to do any videos on in the future. You can have a meeting with me or my brokers. We're all, we all have this message as a fundamental. And honestly, we have brokers here that are just incredible at what they do. Like these guys will just they will do anything to find the best deal. Like literally, these guys fight with each other every day over what the best deal is. They have their finger on the trigger. So there's 11 brokers here that are just yeah, it's like a pride thing. Like if we put someone in the best deal available, it's like we're boasting to each other. So, get amongst it. Great to speak to you. Have a great 2023, guys, and we'll catch you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.